Welcome to the Dreamit Dose. I'm Mike Ravenscroft, Startup Success Manager at Dreamit Ventures. It's never too late for a New Year's resolution. Today I'm going to share a simple resolution that will dramatically improve your odds of success in a customer or investor meeting. The resolution I want you to adopt is this: I promise to do my homework. Easy enough, right? I assure you that of all the resolutions you make this year, this one will have the highest ROI to work ratio and will set you apart from most startups. Let's jump in.
Dreamit Ventures has been investing in great early-stage startups for over a decade. The Dreamit Dose allows us to share best practices to help even more founders. Tell us about your great startup using the links below.
Startups work for months to land high-value meetings with customers and investors. And they spend just as much time honing their pitches and prepping for tough questions. The piece that's often missing is basic background research on the person and the organization. Now, this goes for both customer and investor meetings. Too often we see founders jump on a call without doing the little bit of prep work that goes a long way to making a good impression. Speaking from experience, if a founder says to us, "I haven't really heard of Dreamit. You're an accelerator, right?" Shakes head sadly. Now, we don't take it personally, but it's pretty obvious when founders haven't done their research. Aside from hurting your credibility, you now have to spend precious minutes learning what you could otherwise have learned in a Google search and some LinkedIn sleuthing. Doing a little bit of homework will make your meetings more efficient, make you look more credible, and ultimately improve your chances of getting to the next meeting. Let's start with the person. The first rule of meeting with any organization is you're not talking to an organization. You're talking to a person. And that person is someone you need to connect with to establish credibility. Start with your contact's background. Are they a 10-year organizational veteran or a recent hire? Do they have experience working in tech or working with startups? For investors, pay particular attention to what startup boards they sit on, because this will tell you what deals they have led and where their expertise lies. Next, establish where they sit in the organizational hierarchy. This will give you a strong sense of your contact's influence within the organization, and it will help you navigate the conversation and tailor your ask. More on that later. Finally, have they published or been featured in any content that you could reference in your conversation? For example, if they're a vocal proponent for greater use of social determinants in patient care, wouldn't it be great to be able to say, "You know, Dr. Smith, I saw you published an article recently about the importance of SDOH in patient outcomes. I know you're an expert in this subject, and that's why I'm excited to tell you about how we're addressing this challenge." Do that, and you're on your way to establishing a connection. Next, let's talk about the organization. Let's start with investors. For any meeting with a VC, you should know the following without exception. What companies are in their portfolio? Are they sector-specific or generalist? What stage do they invest at? What is their fund size? What is their typical check size? Do they have a particular thesis they are investing around, and how do you fit into that? And bonus, if you can figure it out, are any of their LPs corporations or from industry? Almost all of this information is readily available on their website or on Crunchbase. You should know all of this before your meeting. And more importantly, take it into account. If they're a cybersecurity investor, don't explain what endpoint threat detection means. If you're raising a seed round, it makes no sense to pitch a B round growth investor. And if they have a company that you consider competitive in their portfolio, don't take the meeting. For customers, homework is a bit more complex. Your business will determine what you need to know to be prepared for a customer conversation. But to make life easier, my rule of thumb is to learn at least 3 things about every potential customer. This will depend on your line of business, but for example, if you're a health tech company, you should probably know the following. Are they a fully integrated at-risk or fee-for-service provider? What is their EHR vendor? What is their approximate peer group, as in total number of beds, types of care, specialties, academic affiliation, and so forth? And bonus, if you can figure it out, what is their experience working with startups? Now, admittedly, this last one is tricky, but it's not impossible to find out. Search the customer's name, look at what their innovation team is doing, see if they have a venture fund, and make a note when other startups list those customers' logos on their websites. And finally, what is my ask? No company at Dreamit pitches one of our customer partners without a defined ask. What's an ask? It's what you want out of the conversation. It's your suggested next step and what you're going to ask of your contact. Sounds easy, right? Here's the rub. Not all asks are created equal. And you don't want a customer feeling like they have a target on their back or like you're just using them to get to the decision maker. This is where doing your homework really comes into play. If you're speaking with a program manager on the innovation team, does she really have the institutional sway to be able to connect you with the chief medical officer for a meaningful conversation? And also, is that even a realistic ask based on where you are in the sales cycle? Whether it's a customer or investor you're speaking to, your ask needs to factor in where you are in the discovery cycle and who you're speaking with. More than anything, your ask is designed to get you to the next meeting. Now, it would be nice if the next meeting is a conversation with the chief medical officer or the chief information security officer. It would also be nice if there weren't hundreds of startups lining up at the gates to have that very same conversation. So do your homework and figure out, where am I in the process? What is the sensible next step from this point? Can this person reasonably accommodate my ask? Do they have a clear need, and do we, honestly, align well with their needs? Here's the point. You cannot land a plane by pointing at something that looks like a runway. Every meeting is different because you're dealing with different organizations and people. Your ask can't just be, connect me with the decision maker. Your knowledge of the person and the organization will inform your ask of them. And that's why you should always do your homework. Let's recap. Number 1, research the person. Know her role and her background, know where she sits, and how you can establish a meaningful connection. Number 2, research the organization. Identify at least 3 things you need to know before the meeting. Keep notes in your CRM so you can easily reference them, and take notes in your meeting. Any context could be helpful down the road. And number 3, tailor your ask to the interaction. Build your ask around where you are in the process and bring your contact something they can act on. That's your Dreamit Dose. Please leave your questions in the comment section, and if you found this video helpful, like this video and subscribe to the channel. To see all of our doses, go to dreamit.com/dose, and if you're the founder of a great health tech or secure tech startup, visit dreamit.com/apply. Speaking from experience, if a founder says to us, I haven't really heard of Dreamit. You're an accelerator, right? Shakes head sadly. You don't want me to read it? I thought it was funny. Search the customer's name, look at what their innovation team is doing, see if they have a venture fund, and make a note where other startups list your